Okay, and then I will show everything before I publish. So nothing will go out without your permission and without you formally approving.
Sure, absolutely. Sounds good.
Okay. So, and we'll keep on talking. What I'll do is let's do the first cut of the show, see how it goes and stuff like that. And then as we have conversation, I have heard people saying, oh, I think I should have said that. So then what I'll do is either record that part of it so that I can trim it and pull it inside so we don't have to do the whole thing. But that's how I'll do it. Okay.
I'm learning a lot already.
I have this lingering cough from being sick the last couple of days, and I was like,
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Not a good day.
Yesterday I was on a call and in the middle of the call, I started doing hiccups. So let's hope that doesn't happen here.
Yeah, that is a nightmare, like falling in high heels, hiccups during presentations, or coughing in the middle of like in-person presentation. Coughing is something that people would not forgive now. So
yes, you're so right.
Okay. So I'm going to start. We'll do our first cut, see how it goes. Doesn't mean this is the final cut.
Sure.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of To the Power of N. And in this episode, I am more than honored to have Tanjina Shapiro. Tanjina and I met on LinkedIn, and we were super impressed by each other's profile and had so much of common that we decided we are going to connect. And I learned so much about her that I invited her to the Power of N and share her insights of being a fractional COO, being a diverse leader, and what does that mean for her. So Tanjina, welcome to the show. I'm going to ask you the same two key questions that I ask of our guests. What are your tips and tricks for networking, and how has that helped you? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nash. Thank you for having me on the podcast. So I would say that I've got maybe about 3 tips that I'd like to share in terms of networking. The first one I would say is to be careful of the labels that you apply to yourself. There's a lot of personality assessments that are out there that help you understand our own traits, but we cannot let that be the sole data point for decision making. So what I mean by that is, for example, when I was very early on in my career, I did the Myers-Briggs assessment, and I was relieved to learn that I was an introvert. Woohoo, right? But then I also started to adopt the label of an introvert and started to shy away from networking and avoiding networking. Unfortunately, when the majority of jobs are filled through people you know and through connections, I had to change my mindset to be able to do the career advancements that I was looking for. So that was a very important and pivotal point for me to embrace networking, is by shedding that mindset or shedding that label that I'm an introvert and therefore I'm not good at networking. So that's the first one. The second one I would say is, how do you learn how to flip the script? So our lived experiences really shape our beliefs, our thoughts, and our behaviors. And we bring those beliefs, thoughts, and behaviors into the workplace and into the networking rooms. So for example, as a child, I learned to stay quiet. I learned that speaking up or speaking out gets you in trouble. And so I learned to, make myself small, make my ideas small, and just to blend in, right? But when you are networking, you have to put yourself out there. So that was a learning journey. So I had to learn how to flip the script, that I need to be quiet and I need to hold on to my ideas to be able to go through some deep inner work with mentors and coaches to really find my voice and be able to step out. And so when I did do that, I really learned a lot about networking and about making those connections. And then the third thing that I would say is about embracing curiosity. I think networking gets a bad rep, but really at the end of the day, networking is about building relationships. So, and we can learn a lot from one another by just being curious and asking people and getting to know people at a much deeper level. And so for me, what that has been is that I really look to really understand who are the people that I'm meeting with. And really, it's more for me, it's about giving versus taking. And so that feels more authentic to me when I go out and network. And so those are the 3 tips that I would say that personally has helped me overcome a lot of the narratives around networking and keeping in mind that I am a high achiever and I wanted to get a lot in my career. And I knew that I was going to be able to do that by going out there and building relationships.
That is amazing. I love some of the things that you said. Give me some example, right? Give me one example that you can think of where these tips that you're talking about came in handy. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. So I think one of the things I would say is on the embracing curiosity. What I ended up doing is when I started to do a lot of networking events, I would start to connect with the person that is organizing the event, right? And I would start to get curious about them, like what got them into starting this event and launching this event. And that also helped me to create a connection with the individual so that when I showed up at the networking event, remember, like introvert, right? At least I knew one person. And oftentimes, because of that curiosity and because I reached out to the person in advance on LinkedIn and I said, hey, I'm coming to your event, would love to connect with, you know, my bracket at the time of my career, what I was looking for. And sure enough, the organizer would then connect me with other people within LinkedIn before I even ended up at the event. So now I've got a couple of people that I can look out for when I'm at those events. And so I think that that aspect of just being curious and being forward thinking in terms of how to plan for the networking events really helped me out.
Oh, that is an amazing example. This is never thought about that in this way to reach out to the people who are organizing. So
Mhm.
I got a lot from here. I'm sure the audience got a lot from this as well. I was trying to frantically make my notes. I'm sure that I'm going to go back and listen to this again, but flip the script just touched my heart. Absolutely loved it of flipping the script. People have said it in a different way, but I absolutely love that. Thank you so much, Tanjina, for being on our show and sharing your insights and wisdom. I'm sure the audience got a lot from this as well. And for more such episodes and content, make sure that you are tuned in, subscribe, like, and comment to the Power of N. Thank you, Tanjina.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Cut. That was a one cut done. Actually, I felt it. I don't know how you felt it.
Yeah, no, I thought it, yeah, I don't, so tell me if you feel like I was rushed, because I do get a feedback that sometimes I talk too fast. So let me know if you feel like I rushed it.
So here's the thing. I think I have been given that feedback multiple times that you speak so fast that we have to think about it. So what my mentor once told me was, it's just that your thinking power is faster than others. So it's
Mm,
okay. So she's like, you
mm.
accept what it is. And here's the thing, based on culture, based on countries, based on language, everybody has a different tone for saying things. It's
Yeah,
absolutely fine. Some people are absolutely slow in saying that, some people are absolutely fast, and there is no medium pace. So
thank you.
she's like, don't even bother about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. I appreciate that. I might borrow that. Because yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I think, you know, again, as long as you felt like it was good, I'm good with it. Yeah.
I'm absolutely comfortable. So let me ask you a couple of questions that will be part of the teaser, right? One is, if you don't mind just talking a little bit about one of the things that I loved in your profile is being out there and saying, I'm taking a career break. Right? I mean, people or women very specifically hide their career breaks, or they don't talk about their career break too often
Yeah.
because that is assumed or looked upon as a negative thing. So, and
Mhm,
you have put it on your profile that you had a career break. Tell me
mhm.
a little bit more about that. I'm sure that everybody would love that.
Yes. So, you know, I would say that it was a journey, right? I definitely, when I left my corporate job, I really felt that I needed the time and space to think and really decide what I wanted to do next. I didn't want to jump to the very next job that was offered to me. And I also didn't know how much time I needed, right? So I didn't want to put a time limit on it and say, oh, I've only got a month and I've got to figure the rest of it out. So I really, you know, gave myself permission to take the time that I needed. I had a, you know, very honest conversation with my husband. We talked about our finances. We said, okay, this looks good. We can do this. And so I decided to take that time, and, you know, I didn't know how much time I would take. I ended up taking 4 months, and it was beautiful, Nash, honestly. It really gave me, in my entire career, I've never really taken a break or taken time off. And even when I've taken vacations, it's been mostly, checking in, working, etc. So being able to just not have the burden of anyone's expectations on me and having the space was wonderful. And then the question became like, when I came back and I updated my LinkedIn profile to say that I've exited corporate and now I'm an entrepreneur, how do I do that? And I made the decision of, for me, and especially jumping into entrepreneurship, it needed to feel authentic to me. And if I took a break for 4 months, that is a part of my life history. There's so much learning and self-reflection and clarity that I received from that time off that I did not want to hide that. And so I just put it on my profile. And it's interesting that you say that, because when the profile went up, a lot of people within my network immediately pinged me. They're like, oh my God, it's so amazing that you put your career break on there. What have you been up to? And that resulted in, again, talk about networking, right? Just organically talking to people within my network, telling them what I've been up to, where I'm going. And, I didn't have all the answers, but that was fine. And so it was a beautiful thing. And I think that as long as you are authentic about what you're doing and how you're spending your time, just put it out there.
Awesome. Can you talk to me a little bit about the, fractional COO versus a consultant versus a normal COO, for lack of better words?
Yeah, no, thank you for asking that question. So, a lot of organizations, I'm a fractional COO or a interim COO, but a lot of organizations are not able to afford a full-time COO, right? And so fractional allows them to get that executive level experience and expertise at a fraction of the cost. These are fractional COOs or fractional executives are people who are embedded within your executive leadership team. They may be managing one or more of your operational functions, and their time with you is dependent on what are the strategic initiatives that is happening within your organization. And that's a little bit different than consultants. Consultants come in and are very much focused on a specific scope of work or a specific area and a specific scope and project. So I think those are the two main differences within fractional executive roles and consulting roles.
Awesome. And then, Tanjina, when you and I were talking about, you mentioned about a time in your career where you hit the ceiling, right? I mean, you call it the bamboo ceiling, the glass ceiling, whatever type of ceiling you hit over there. Can you talk to me a little bit about the journey? Because there is always that question about, okay, you hit the director level and that pretty much is the it for women, right? To go from a director to a VP is a journey. And then from a VP to a C-suite executive is even a further journey, right? I was looking at some data this morning and it is only 24 to 35% is the max between the women that are at a director level or at a C-suite level. It's a huge, huge, huge gap because there is only a fractional of us at the C-suite. Talk to me a little bit about your journey from being a director to hitting that executive level, and just a little bit of, if I am listening this as an audience, right? When this section happens, it will be only your face that will be shown. I won't be there. That's why I'm making up all, I'm making all the faces. Talk to me, talk to me a little bit about, if I am a woman, what will you look back at Tanjina maybe 5 or 10 years back, and here's your advice to get to and break that ceiling? What would you tell? So you can start by saying, hey, at a certain point in my career, I hit this thing of moving from a director to this, and if I have to give myself an advice now, here are the things that I will tell myself. So
yeah, that's a great question. So I think within my career, I would say that, at some point you hit that inevitable ceiling, right? And so the question becomes, and I was at that point, I was like at a director level, wanting to move up and into my career. What I found is that, if I were to, looking back, I would say, oh, sorry, can I do that again? Because
yeah, and it's fine. You can do it So, think about it as an audience. In my mind is, it's very difficult to move from a director to a VP level, right? So you can say, hey, at a certain point in my life, I was trying to move from a director to a VP level, not an easy, everybody knows that and stuff like that. I tried A, B, and C, it didn't happen. Yeah, I'm where I am now, but if I have to give an advice to myself, these are the three things I will tell you or anybody, just the audience of
Mhm.
how to move from or how to break that ceiling, if you will.
Yeah, no, that's a good framework. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, cool.
Go ahead. This is just your show, so only your face will be visible. This is your the first episode that will get released, the prior episode.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Mm.
So I would say that, within my career, I ended up, getting a lot of, you're a rock star, you're a high achiever. All of my reviews were 5 stars, right? And so to me, it felt, okay, if I'm doing so well, career progression should make sense. And so when I wanted to move from an individual contributor role into a director and people management role and move up and within my career, I felt that there was a lot of uncertainty. There was a lot of unclarity in terms of how to make that move. So sitting here today, looking back, what I would advise my younger self and people in that, women especially in this area, is to really figure out how to get sponsors within an organization that can advocate for you when you're not in the room. Because I was spending so much time being perfect at the job that I was doing and excelling at that level that I did not really spend enough time and energy and relationship building with other executives who are making the decisions of who to move up within the organization. So I think, sponsorship within an organization is really critical to make sure that you are able to have your voice is in the room when you're not in the room. So that's the first thing I would say. And the second thing I would say is that always make sure that you are leveraging networking, not just within your organization, but outside of your organization, so that you're bringing those different perspectives within your work and how you do your work, and being able to share those experiences within your organization. So it helps people to see you at as a different light versus people who are just kind of staying within their 4 walls, if you will.
Okay. So how is your business? Is that like an independent business that you have now, or are you like an individual consultant? How are you doing? So this won't go. I'm just asking out of curiosity because my journey is also to get to become a COO. So how does it feel? I mean, do you miss being in the corporate world, or do you are good where you are? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, so I would say that I'm a corporate exeter turned entrepreneur. I
Yeah.
don't think of myself as a solopreneur because while I'm a business of one, I'm not alone. So I have surrounded myself with amazing women who are also entrepreneurs, who are also exiting corporate and building their own business and delivering value on their own terms and living what I would call a work-life balance. And so that is what I was striving for. So for me, it's entrepreneurship is about being able to put yourself out there, being able to talk about and share your value and what you bring to the table, and what is the unique experience based on all of the years of experience that you've had as an individual in a corporate setting. How do you bring that to clients, as I said, as a fractional CEO at a fraction of the cost?
That's amazing. I love the fractional CEO at the fraction of the cost. And then, are you still serving only healthcare, science, and technology field, or are you being a COO for all lines of business?
Yes, this is a wonderful question. To niche or not to niche is the
Yeah.
question, right? So I've had a lot of, when I first started, I wanted to just be organic and see what I was attracting, right? Because at the time I was still figuring out what I wanted to do. I'm somebody who's a lifelong learner. So I really love the idea of being everything for everyone. And so I started with just being organically, who am I attracting? Who are my clients? And so I have a couple of clients that are in the ad agency space. They are in the academic medical center and independent physician practices. So, and so now, having done this for a little while, I am now focusing on digital health and health techs companies in the space of mental health, women's health, and caregiving. These are all three topics that are near and dear to my heart, some based on some personal experiences. And I want to be able to, what I really enjoy doing is bringing diverse team members like product engineering, client success, bringing them together to figure out how to design products in a human and customer-centric way, and how to break down silos within an organization that hinders our ability to communicate effectively and collaborate effectively. So that's where I'm at right now.
That's amazing. Have you heard about Herself?
Herself?
Yeah.
No.
This is an organization that was, it's a small company that was started in California, and this is of course a women's group, and they now moved to Minnesota, knowing how the population is and everything. And it's a fantastic. I'll find some details. I'll share it with you.
I
It
would
is
love
very
that.
close to what you are talking about. They may not have all the aspects of it, of course, but it is a fantastic space, and I would 100% agree. Right? I mean, now when I talk to my leader about what does my future look like, and I always tell her that I don't need to be a COO at a larger organization. I can be at a startup, and I think the way I think, I don't think so I'll be in a large organization. I don't want to be a small fish in a big pond. I want to be at a place where I can make an impact, and I don't care whether it is 5 or 10 people, or but it has to be a sizable organization that I can make impact. I can move things around. So she was like, what are you thinking? I said, I don't know, maybe healthcare tech space, because my brain thinks like a technology person, and that's what I've been doing, right? I've done a lot of system implementations, and so system is my love. And I think, having spent almost 12 years now in healthcare, I think that's where I think my focus will be, because I feel I can make an impact in that. So she was like, okay, so have you decided now? That means you're going to leave? I said, leaving or not leaving is a separate thing, right? It depends on opportunity, but at the same time, it also depends on, am I learning? Am I earning? Am I
Yes.
growing?
Yes,
Right? If I don't
absolutely.
do all the three, then I'm by, I mean, I have to make sure that I'm hitting at least two, if not three. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, so I think that's where, I mean, a small example I'll give about women, and from a earning perspective as well. So when I was a manager, and back then, and we were giving an offer to one of the women for an HRIS position under my team, and so we had the bandwidth of, okay, we can give 60, or we can give 70, or we can give 80. So the recruiter came to me and said, Nash, she is asking for, 6, whatever is the best. And I said, okay, then what's the best? She said, should we start with 70? It's a midpoint. Should we start with 70? And then, if she comes back, then we can give her, 72 or 75. I said, okay. What if she doesn't? Then she's never going to get the 75 or 80 that she deserves. And then that's how the gap increases. The pay inequality increases, because we don't do it. I said a man would come back and will fight for an 80, or even an 85 for that matter, right? And we would be like, oh my God, they're asking for 85, let's give 85. I said, I would give her the max that we can give in the range, so that she feels happy about working over here. And we feel good about having someone getting paid based on what is given to the position versus what she asked for.
I
So
love that so much. And that is so important. And kudos to you for taking existing data. We know that women are paid 80 cents to the dollar that a man is paid. We also know that, women sometimes don't ask for what they're really worth. And so for you to sort of, I would call it autocorrect for that is amazing. I'll share one experience, and one of the jobs when I was getting promoted, I orchestrated all of my conversations and negotiations for that promotion. And when I was made the offer and the amount was shared with me, I asked the question of, because I was going to be the only female leader within that team. at that time, I asked the question of like, how does this offer compare to what my male colleagues and peers are getting? And kudos to the leader at the time. He acknowledged that, you know, he's going to look into it and get back to
Nice.
me. He called me back in 10 minutes and he was like, this is where it's at, and this is what, and it was a slight bump, but it was with that understanding of, yes, we need to be paying our executives and leaders for the value that they bring, not for the gender that they're at. So
Nice. I got goosebumps just with that. I mean, and not a lot of women would do that. They will not negotiate. And I don't know. I mean, it's because of culture, it's because of who we are. As a woman, we are always thought about it. You think about being a woman, then being a woman of color, and being an immigrant, you are practically out of the basket completely. And I think that's what we need to push a little bit. There's a lot of BIPOC women that I mentor. I would always say that, they'll come back and say, Nash, I got this offer. And I said, okay, did you take into calculation the travel, the parking, the everything, your time? And then, yeah, I took that into consideration. I said, okay, is this the best offer? Did you do salary.com, right? Did you check on, yeah, checked on that. Is it the best they can offer? It's like that I didn't ask. I said, then go and ask. Say,
yeah,
is this the best that you can, just you have to say, is this the best that you can offer? Because, if I can get more pay, because being a recruiter early in my career, guys would always come back and say, Nash, is this the best? Can I get at least 10% more? Okay, no. Can you give me more PTO?
yeah,
Can you give me
exactly.
a joining bonus? I mean, they
I
had
think,
all the things you can think of, and then we have to throw something at them just to get them in. And every time, if I have my data of being hiring almost, more than 1,000 people in my early career, because I was doing campus, I was doing initial, I would say 80 to 90% of the time, women would never come back to negotiate an offer, never. And then guys would feel good, the senior leaders would feel good. Oh, I think we saved some money.
mm-hmm,
But the longer impact was never thought about, of you are increasing the pay inequity gap because these women are going to work their butts off to do the same or even more amount of work that the male counterpart is doing,
yeah.
and they're not getting paid. And by the time they come to that point of getting to 100K, the guys are already at 200K for the same level of work.
It was, you raised a lot of good points. It was not until several jobs later that I even realized that negotiating for something other than base pay was even an option, right? So I think, there's a lot of, now I would say, in 2024, there's a lot of information out there in terms of how do you think about your total compensation. But if you
Yes.
think about organizations, mostly they will base everything and negotiate everything based on salary, right? And so it's on the job seeker to really do their due diligence, do their research, and really understand. And it's also, I would say, whenever you're taking a job, you're going to spend 8 to 10 hours a day at this place. Make sure that it's worth it financially, emotionally, and also it helps you meet your own goals, both personally and professionally. So, depending on who you are and what career journey as well as what life journey you're on, if PTO or maternity leave or some type of time off and those type of things, or health benefits and things like that, those non-tangible things are important to you, put that in your negotiations. The worst they can do is say no. And if that is the case, that was not the right place for you to begin with. So
Mhm.
many times we forget that because we think this one role, this one job, this one interview is the make it or break it. But sometimes when the universe says no to us, that helps us to get to the better yes.
That's amazing. And I think most of the people that I mentor would always, I would say, when you have an offer in hand, never say yes on that same
Yeah,
day. Never.
yeah.
And I think nobody is going to die, with your one day yes or no. Instead, always say, let me think about it and get back. Even if
Mm-hmm.
you are like dying to join that company, never say yes at that point. Take a breath, say, I'll get back to you. And then you can talk to people, in the company, outside, your mentors, your coach, get an idea about what the offer look like. This is for women who are not that outgoing or extrovert who can give an answer at that spot in time. Then
Sure.
get some energy from other people, right? Who will
Yeah.
push you with a lot of things, and then take those couple of points and next day have that conversation. You'll be at a better place and stuff like that. And the thing that you have to take out of your mind, like you said, right? This is not the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
right? And once you take that fear out, then you are at a much better spot for negotiation than if you're on an edge, you don't have a job, you are fighting finances and stuff like that. It's a different situation. But even if you're in that situation, take a day.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give an answer on that day. That brings in so much of value. If nothing, you will gain 5% in your
You know,
salary.
it creates the space, right? Because at
Mm.
the end of the day, this is a you're on a tough call because you are expecting a result, right? Why not? There's no rules. Why not give yourself that time to breathe, to think, to really evaluate the offer? Because it's additional data point. This is what I say, right? When you're going through a career, when you're going through a job interview, every conversation you're having, even with the recruiter, is a data point in terms of whether you are a fit for them and they're a fit for you. The offer is just another data point. Take that data point, take the time and space to really think about this holistically and say, is this the right thing for me? What do I need to feel good about joining this organization? And then when you look at also a lot of the data and statistics in terms of like, once you're in an organization, the pay increase and pay bumps are not that good. It's about 2 to 3%. You'd have to get exceeds expectations, which is another topic for another conversation, my friend. But you'd have to get consistently exceeds expectation to even get to that 5 to 10% limit. So you're not just negotiating the here and now and what the offer is. You're negotiating for your career that you are going to potentially be spending in this organization, assuming that it's a good culture and values fit for you.
Couldn't agree more. I think those are some invaluable thing. I mean, if I can edit your episode and just put one episode for 30 minutes, I think that will be great, because people do need to, sometimes you know what you have, you just need a reminder or you need a push.
Totally.
So,
Exactly.
if somebody can tell you the same thing that you know about, you get that with the same energy and you go over there. And that's the role of a mentor. That's the role of a coach.
Mm-hmm.
That's the role of a sponsor, to come in your life and do it. And that's where you have to break those barriers and start with, if I'm comfortable having a mentor who is a woman, start over there. I think that will be a good
Mm-hmm.
one. And the other way that I will turn it, and I did kind of an internal TED talk for Stanford, and I'll release that episode on the Women's Day, was what you can do as a woman of color is also important,
Yes.
right? I mean, there are people who are super smart, but they are just not able to break that barrier. Can you identify those talent and give them the space so that they can become the next budding star? That is also critical. So it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
it's a two-way street. I mean, you cannot just push and expect women to start doing it networking tomorrow. It won't happen. You do it for them. Try it for at least one woman.
Yeah, exactly. I think what's coming up for me in this conversation is, getting out of the comfort zone. Because everything that we're talking about, none of this is comfortable,
Mhm.
especially for women of color, and especially for women of color and immigrants, right?
Mhm.
So, but we're all striving for the best life that we can live, and we want to all be thriving. So how can we do that? We have to be able to move past our comfort zone, get resource properly, go ask for help, go ask questions, go read up on things, and advocate for yourself. So many times, it's amazing what happens when you can just advocate for yourself. And if you think about it, as women, we are natural nurturers, and we advocate for others all day long.
We do.
Our team members, our organization, our mission-oriented volunteer groups that we work with, we are always advocating for everybody else. Imagine what you can do for yourself if you shift a fraction of that light towards you.
100%. 100% agree on that. And we just don't do that. We are very shy of tooting our own horn or talking about our own self. And I think it's okay. It's okay to talk about
Yeah,
yourself.
it comes from those, lived experiences of our beliefs, thoughts, and behaviors.
Agree. Thank you. Thank you so much, Tanjina. I know that we have to talk one day just focused on a COO, and I would like to learn from your journey and think about um, what I'm thinking next, right? I mean, I would
Yeah,
like
let's
to
do it.
brainstorm with you and see, because, I mean, I spoke with few people, like my husband is like, it's okay, why don't you enjoy family? Why don't you enjoy kids? Why? And for me, it is like, yes, I'm enjoying all of that, but that doesn't mean that I need to stop my career growth. I'm not saying he's asking me to do that,
Mhm.
but for him, it is like stop and enjoy this moment. Kids will be gone, they'll grow up and stuff, like have that moment. And I'm thinking about it from both angles. Yes, kids will be gone, but kids will need me for the rest of your life, not just until the point they go to the college.
Yeah.
The other aspect is also the point at which I am in my career. I want to make sure I give the next 10 years to a place where I feel that I'm growing, and not be at the same place where I feel like, okay, I've hit the thing where I know I've done the best. Now it's time to move. So
Yeah. No, I would love to have that conversation. Let's set that up and let's do a workshop around it, because I love helping people figure out their what and their why. And it sounds
okay.
like, you're evaluating a lot of, different things and different options, but